At Thanksgiving dinner, my grandmother suddenly shouted in front of the entire family, "Why is there an elderly couple living in the $1 million lake house I bought for you?" I froze. The only thing I managed to say was, "What are you talking about? I don't even have a house right now. I'm sleeping on my cousin's couch." At that exact moment, my sister's face turned pale, and right then, the lawyer arrived. My grandmother had been out of the country for 3 years, working under a consulting contract in Singapore. She and I had always been incredibly close, the kind of grandmother who secretly slipped a $20 bill inside your birthday card and remembered every random little thing you'd ever told her. Before leaving, she told me she had done something important for me, something to make sure I'd be okay. She never really explained what it was. I assumed maybe it was a savings bond or some small investment. I didn't press her for details. That ended up being the last real conversation we ever had. After that, the letters stopped coming, or at least that's what I thought. At the time, I was juggling 2 jobs at once. During the day, I worked at a restaurant. At night, I did remote data entry work for $14 an hour. I was sleeping on my cousin's couch, eating whatever I could scrape together for less than $11 a day. I had $340 left in my bank account and $27,000 in student loan debt. Every time I thought about reaching out to Grandma, I convinced myself she was busy, that the silence probably made sense. I repeated that story to myself so many times. I eventually believed it. Meanwhile, my sister Jessica never seemed to struggle with anything. She had married a guy named Ryan the year before, and they were constantly posting pictures online, trips, fancy dinners, home renovations. I remember one specific post, our new vacation home. There was a hashtag underneath, a photo of a beautiful lake, a gorgeous house, a huge deck overlooking the water. I double-tapped the picture and kept scrolling, too exhausted to let myself feel anything more complicated than simple jealousy. Then everything changed. My grandmother came back 6 weeks earlier than expected. She didn't tell anyone. The moment she landed, she rented a car and drove straight to the lake property she had purchased under my name. She knocked on the front door. An elderly couple answered, Ryan's parents. They had been living there for over 2 years, paying Jessica $4,000 a month in rent, and they had absolutely no idea that legally, the house belonged to me. Standing right there on the porch, Grandma immediately called my aunt. She told her to find me, but specifically not through my parents. A few minutes later, I got a text message from a number I didn't recognize. "Don't ask questions. Call this number now." So I called. Grandma answered, and in about 4 minutes, she explained everything. Her voice was flat, controlled. I knew that tone. That was how she sounded when she was furious but forcing herself not to explode. Apparently, my family had been telling her that I was emotionally unstable, that I couldn't handle money, that I wasn't responsible enough to manage something as valuable as a property, but not to worry, because they were taking care of everything for me. They said they were protecting me, that it was all for my own good, that they had everything under control. I hung up and sat down on the last step outside my cousin's apartment building. My phone still felt warm against my ear. 3 years. 3 years believing my grandmother had abandoned me. 3 years making excuses for her inside my own head. And the truth was, she had bought me a house, a real house, $1 million lake house, while I was counting quarters for bus fare, while I was eating instant noodles standing in someone else's kitchen. My hands were shaking. Not from sadness. It was something uglier than that. Something hot rising from my stomach all the way into my throat. Something that made it impossible to swallow. I called back the number my aunt had texted me from. Grandma picked up immediately. "Are you still there?" she asked. "I'm here." "Good." There was a pause. Then she said, "You're coming to Thanksgiving dinner, day after tomorrow, at your parents' house. Don't tell anyone we spoke. Don't say a single word." I hesitated. "Grandma, I don't even know if they'll let me in." There was silence for a second. Then her voice turned colder. "Let you in? I'll be there. And someone else is coming with me. You just show up, sit down, and leave the rest to me." Before I could ask who she meant, she hung up. And somehow, those next 2 days felt longer than the last 3 years. Those next 2 days dragged on forever. I kept going to the restaurant. I kept doing data entry at night, staring at spreadsheets until my eyes burned. But I wasn't really present. It felt like I was moving through everything on autopilot. My mind was somewhere else. On Wednesday, Jessica texted me, "You coming tomorrow?" Mom's asking. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then replied with a single word, "Yeah." A few seconds later, she reacted with a little heart emoji. I kept staring at that stupid heart, thinking about that photo by the lake, the giant deck, the $4,000 a month, and now knowing exactly where all that money had been going. Thanksgiving Day. I arrived at my parents' house at exactly 3 o'clock. I was wearing the only decent sweater I still owned. It had started stretching out from being washed too many times. The house smelled like turkey, cinnamon, and that familiar smell of the place where I had grown up, always feeling like the extra person, the one nobody really wanted there. Jessica opened the door. She was wearing a brand new dress, gold earrings I'd never seen before. "You made it," she said. Then in less than half a second, I caught her eyes scanning me from head to toe, judging. Ryan was in the living room holding a beer, laughing with my dad. My mother stepped out of the kitchen, drying her hands on her apron. No one hugged me. No one even smiled. I sat down at the edge of the couch, the same exact place I always sat. And then, the doorbell rang. My mom walked over casually, assuming it was probably the neighbors, but when she came back into the living room, all the color had disappeared from her face. Behind her walked my grandmother, 3 years without seeing her, and somehow she looked exactly the same. Straight posture, sharp expression, firm as ever. She was gripping her purse with both hands like there were bricks inside it. The entire room went silent. Jessica immediately stood up. "Grandma?" Her voice cracked halfway through the fake smile. "We had no idea you were back already." Grandma didn't answer, not even a glance. She walked straight into the middle of the living room, then searched the room with her eyes until she found me. And suddenly, it felt like nobody else existed in that house. Just her and me. Finally, without raising her voice, she said, "Before dinner, I'd like someone to explain something to me." Then very slowly, she turned toward Jessica and asked, "Why is there an elderly couple living in the $1 million lake house I bought for your sister?" My father froze with his fork halfway to his mouth. Ryan stopped smiling instantly. I couldn't move. I could feel every eye in that room landing on me at once. I finally forced the words out. "What are you talking about, Grandma?" My voice came out smaller than I wanted, much smaller. And if you don't want to wait for part 2, you can watch the full story on my YouTube channel. Just tap share, then more, and click the YouTube link here on my profile. Or search for the channel Cooper Reddit on YouTube.